Hey everybody, before I get started, I just want to mention a couple of ways that you can engage with me on a more personal level. I have a few avenues set up and I keep focusing on one, and I figured why don't I make a short little video talking about all of them real quick before we get into these episodes. So first thing, Patreon. There's a link in the episode description, in every episode description to the Patreon, as well as a video on the feed called Major Announcement that has all the details of what each tier offers and how much they cost. I implore you to check that out. I offer a lot of cool shit for my patrons. Second thing, the Discord channel. There's also a Discord link in the episode description and in every episode description. I have multiple channels set up there for each show that I'm covering, and it's a great way to just engage with me. I have a channel set up for MMA talk as well. I'm a big MMA fan, so if you're an MMA fan, you can check that out as well. There's a link to the Discord in the episode description. And then lastly, the Facebook and Twitter. Social media. Follow me on there. I post news on there. When I say news, I mean like, hey, I'm stopping covering this show. Hey, I'm starting covering this show. Let me know what you think about this. I do live watches of things on Facebook where like I'll check in and say I'm watching so-and-so show, and then I'll like live comment while I'm watching it, and that'll be cool if maybe you watch that show too and you want to watch along with me, or you're watching it later and you will see my thoughts, which are usually pretty entertaining because I'm usually pretty high when I'm writing them. So check out all those links in each episode description, and let's talk about this episode. Peace.
One mic, one mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic. One mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic. One mic. One mic.
Hey everybody, welcome back to One Mic. It is January 22nd, 2024, my 42nd birthday, and today I'm here to talk about my best of 2023 for television. I just want to say up front, this is not me saying these are the best things to watch. I call it that because it's just a catchy title that people use, but these are my personal favorites and personal disappointments and things that I didn't like for the year. This is just me giving you guys my thoughts on what I liked and what I didn't like. This isn't me telling you that this is the best thing or the worst thing. So all that to say, don't be in the fucking comments telling me that you disagree and what I'm stupid about and I don't know shit, because I don't give a fuck what you think. I'm just telling you guys what I thought was the best stuff and the worst stuff of 2023 for me. That's all. Agree, disagree, whatever. I've kind of held off on doing this video because I felt like it was going to be a big undertaking, that it would take a long time. But when I started to kind of prepare the notes, I realized like I've already covered almost all of this stuff on the channel anyway. So if you wanted, more in-depth thoughts or me to talk about something for 5-10 minutes, there's more than enough of that content on the channel talking about, I'm pretty sure, probably everything that I'm going to mention here. So this video is actually going to be, I don't know if it's going to be quick, but it's going to be something that I'm going to talk about each thing, maybe like a couple of sentences. Like I'll run off a list and that'll be it. I have a few things that I'm going to go over. I have, I don't want to call they are categories, but like it's not a whole thing. Don't take it too seriously. I sure as shit didn't. I'm going to talk about what I thought were the worst shows that I watched this year. I only have a couple. Because I have a really really strong aversion to watching shitty television and movies. So if I think something's gonna be bad, I'm not gonna watch it. But sometimes I get roped in. My biggest disappointments. These are gonna be things that I had expectations for that they didn't meet, and I'll explain when I talk about them what I expected versus what I got. That might be one where I might spend a little bit of time on. I have one called Best Performance. Now again, this isn't me saying this is the best performance of the year. With this specific category, it's really just a performance that I wanted to highlight. There's a lot of performances, and I'll run off a couple of names when I get to that. Ones that we all know. We've seen these people getting awarded this year. Nothing surprising. We know that these are the best performance of the year. But I have one that I wanted to highlight that I just felt like it didn't get talked about enough. Same thing for my favorite moments is another category I have here. Again, just my own personal stuff, highlighting lesser known or lesser talked about things that I found to be personally enjoyable. Again, there's all the stuff that we know about, like moments from Succession, moments from The Bear, things like that we all know are highlights. But I wanted to highlight some things that people don't really talk about. So I have a few things in here that some of my favorite moments that that were lesser talked about this year. Then I have a section on the best episodes. Again, I'm going to say it again. I'm saying best because that's just kind of what we say, but these are my personal favorite episodes, not these are the best episodes of that series. Like don't tell me I'm wrong, because I can't be wrong, because it's my personal opinion. The most you can do is disagree. And then I'm gonna list my honorable mentions. I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 15 honorable mentions. And then I'm going to do the top 10 starting from this. And the honorable mentions are not ranked. And then the top 10 will be ranked, and I'll read those from 10 to number 1. So that's that. Let's get started. I know there's probably about 3 or 4 of you who have been really waiting for this. Maybe some new people will stumble across this at some point and be like, holy shit, I really like this guy, and I want to see what he thought of 2023. And actually, let me say up front, 2023 for television was significantly lesser than 2022. And that's not to say that there is a drought, or that there's a lot of stuff that, like, there just wasn't really anything good. But 2022, like, some of the best stuff from this year wouldn't have cracked my top 10 in 2022. That's kind of like the disparity here. So, but yeah, 2023 was still a great year. There's still some great stuff that I was treated to watch. But yeah, it's 2022 cast a large shadow. All right, so let's get started. I'm going to talk about my worst shows real quick. Like I said, they're not ranked or anything like that. They're just the shows that I happened to watch that I thought were really shitty. Only one of them has coverage on the channel, Mayfair Witches. That came on AMC. It was something that I had high expectations for because I really enjoyed Interview with the Vampire. And I thought, okay, their little, I don't know, there's a name for it that they have for it. I don't remember now, but it's like a monster universe, kind of like the movies have that. But fuck, I can't remember the name of it. But they have a universe for it or whatever that they're trying to get off the ground. And I was like, oh, this should be pretty good, and it was not. It was awful, awful. And like I said, I have full coverage of that on the channel. So if you want to hear me shit on this show for however, I don't know if I covered the whole thing. I might have stopped. Most of the time, if I'm covering something I don't like, I'll just stop. But I don't know if I covered the whole thing, but if you want to hear me shit on that show, there's some coverage on the channel for it. Manifest, season 4. This is one that, it got real popular. Everyone was talking about Manifest. My wife and I decided to watch it. The first season was somewhat interesting. And then it just turned, it's your standard fucking, like, network TV garbage. Like, it's a piece of shit. But, like, we just got caught up in it. So we just kept watching it, and the season 4 came around. It was like, this is going to be the last one. We were like, well, we might as well see how they wrap up this mystery. Then it was like 20-something fucking episodes for no fucking reason. Like, the show's so bad, man. It's a piece of shit. I'm glad it's done. And then You, season 4. You, it kind of similar to Manifest, one that was talked about. Me and my wife got interested. Let's see what this is about. First season was solid. I think second season was solid. Third season, they get progressively worse each season. When I say worse, I don't want to say it gets bad, but like they progressively less good. But then this season, season 4, it turned into an entirely different show, and it had an entirely different premise. The cast was terrible. Like it was a really bad show. And now there's a 5th season, which they're saying is going to be the last one. That again, it's kind of like Manifest. It's like, I know it's going to be shitty, but I'm going to watch it because I'm like, well, I watched all the other 4. I might as well see how this one plays out. But not looking forward to You, season 5. Season 4 was awful. All right, so biggest disappointments. We're getting into rankings here. And again, this isn't... Well, this one is kind of... Well, I have a clear winner. Like, one that is my biggest disappointment. Then I have a few others that were like in the running until I saw that one. And they weren't necessarily bad like the 3 shows that I just talked about, You, Manifest, and Mayfair, which is like they weren't bad like those shows. I just had an expectation of them that for whatever reason they failed to meet. So I'm going to talk about let's see how many I have here. 4 shows that were in the running for this award at some award. They were in the running for this at some point, and then I watched the thing that ended up winning, and I'm like, well, there that goes. So the first one is 1923. 1923 is an example of something that this is not a bad show. Like, 1923 is a pretty good show, and it did some stuff really fucking well. The way it covered the Native American what were those camps called? The boarding schools. The way it covered the Native American boarding schools was absolutely outstanding. Harrison Ford, Helen Mirren were great. It didn't live up to the expectation of 1883 because 1883 set the bar so high because 1883 was my number one show for whatever year it came out for most of the year, and I think it still finished like third or something like that. 1883 was incredible. So 1923 had a really high fucking bar to meet, and it just didn't meet it. And a lot of the reason it didn't meet it was because like the B plot of that episode of that season that involved one of the Dutton children. Well, I can't call him a child. He's like a children of I think he's like a nephew of Harrison Ford's character, but he's like, it's weird to call him a child because he's probably like the great grandfather Kevin Costner's character, whatever. It's not that bad, but the plot line that they had with him and the woman, the romantic love interest plot line that they had here, it was so bad and it dragged the whole show down. The woman was a terrible, obnoxious, teeth gratingly irritating character. And it just dragged the whole show down. And again, it's not a bad show at all. I would actually say that you should probably watch it because you might not hate that woman and that plot line as much as I did. And the rest of it's really good. So again, we're not talking about bad shows here. It's just the expectation was so high after 1883. And it was just a show that I was like, that was fine. Like, it was good, but like, it was okay. Like, it's not making my top 10. It didn't make my honorable mentions. Whatever. Another example, Ted Lasso, season 3, the final season. Oh, supposedly, we don't know yet, but that's another one. Ted Lasso, season 1, absolutely loved it. Season 2, had a couple of pitfalls, but still really good. This season of Ted Lasso, man, this bitch dragged, bro. Like, I mean, long fucking episodes. Not a lot of them, not that good, not that funny. They really, really stuck the landing though, and that really saved Ted Lasso. It had its moments. They stuck the landing, and that I think saved what would have been an otherwise kind of like a thumbs down kind of season, and just made it kind of a disappointment relative to the other two. And then also, given that I'm thinking this is the final season, I'm expecting it to be top of the line. But again, Ted Lasso season 3, it's not a bad season or anything like that. It just not on par with the first two. Man, that motherfucker was long. And yeah, but they stuck the landing on the finale, so bravo to them on that. Yellow Jacket season 2, another one. Season 1 set the bar so high. Season 2 was just not good at all to me. Like and it again wasn't bad. It just it brought me nothing. I did not enjoy it at all. I didn't dislike it. I don't know, man. It just didn't do anything special. I barely remember it at this point because we're talking really early in the year. I was about to go dig it, and I don't have to go dig up any notes on it. Yellow Jacket season 2 has full coverage on the channel. So if you want to hear, if you're like, why was he disappointed in Yellow Jacket season 2? I have full coverage, all episodes covered on the channel. Same for Ted Lasso. Same for 1923. Full coverage, all episodes. So if you're curious why I was disappointed beyond what I just said, it's on there. The other one is Lawman Bass Reeves, another Taylor Sheridan show. Again, 1883 is responsible for this. It set the bar way too fucking high. I was really excited for Bass Reeves with David Oyelowo starring in it. And it's on the channel, you guys. Again, I have full coverage of that one. I talked about I might have stopped Bass Reeves early. I don't know. I finished watching it. I don't know if it has every episode. Like, I might have pulled up one or two short and didn't cover the last one or two. But watch the ones that I covered and you'll understand why I was so disappointed in it. But the winner of the biggest disappointments is Justified City Primeval. Justified City Primeval, again, the common theme here is the expectation versus what I got. Justified City Primeval, it called itself Justified, which is named after one of my favorite shows of all time. So now you've set the bar astronomically high. It's called Justified. You're bringing back Raylan Givens. You're bringing back Timothy Olyphant. Like, I'm thinking I'm getting Justified, and I got a complete and total piece of shit for a television show. Like, this show, like, was... Well, let me pull up short of that. I don't know if it was a complete piece of shit. It just felt like that because it was a complete piece of shit relative to the expectation that calling it Justified sets. I wonder if I would have liked this show if Justified didn't exist at all. And I just watched this show about this cowboy guy coming to Detroit and having this adventure, having this story play out with these characters. Would I have thought this show was good? Maybe. I have I have a strong ability to kind of like step out of that and go like, okay, would you have liked this? Be honest with yourself. And I don't think I would have liked it still. I still think I would have thought it was a shitty television show. But when you call it Justified and you set that expectation and you roll out a fucking hot fucking turd like this, yeah, there was no way this was not gonna win. The disparity was too high. I had the expectation of one of my favorite shows of all time, and I got something that was just objectively bad. Like there was nothing good about it. Even Timothy Olyphant just didn't really seem quite like Raylan Givens. And I think it's because he didn't have a good foil. You know, he had Walton Goggin as Boyd Crowder throughout the series, and then he's got Boyd Holbrook doing this terrible character, and it doesn't serve Raylan Givens to have an underwhelming foil like that. So yeah, it didn't work in any kind of way. Again, full coverage on the channel. I believe I might have pulled up short, an episode or two short, but there is some coverage on the channel. So moving on, best performance. Again, I'm just highlighting a lesser known performance. This is not me saying this is the best performance of the year. You've got Kieran Culkin and Matthew McFadden on Succession. They were incredible. They really stood out to me. Again, you watch my Succession coverage. I spoke highly of both of them. Juno Temple and John Hamm on Fargo. Again, you watch my Fargo coverage. Even when I'm being down on the show, I'm speaking highly of them. They were great. The entire cast of The Bear. Just a lot of great performances across the board. If you look at the Emmy nominations, you'll see a lot of... I had a lot of agreement with that. There were a lot of ones that I felt they were deserving. Briefly on the Emmys, their desire to celebrate 3 shows was a questionable one to me. There were a lot of deserving performances that weren't awarded due to their inexplicable desire to heap praise upon The Bear, Succession, and Beef. But that's what leads me to this category. The performance I wanted to highlight was Rachel Weisz on Dead Ringers. She was absolutely outstanding, and the concept of an actor playing two characters within the same thing, they've kind of been doing that a lot the past, I'd say 5 to 10 years or so. It was on The Deuce. Ewan McGregor did it on, I want to say that was Fargo season 3. It's something that's been done multiple times. But Rachel Weisz on Dead Ringers on Amazon, she was absolutely incredible. The two characters were so different, and they were both very interesting and compelling characters in their own right. Like, it wasn't like one was really interesting and it wasn't just that they were different. It was the fact that individually both characters were great. She did a great job as both people, and both people were so different from one another. So like and the show, it set a high bar up front. I thought it was going to be really good. It became something that probably it fell just short of making my honorable mentions. It's worth a watch just to see her, and it's not something you're gonna have to push through. You know, like, I don't really like this show, but I really want to see this performance. It's good enough that you don't have to push through it. I think you should watch it. It was a great performance, but I just really wanted to highlight her. You know, she's been doing this for a long time. I think I was first introduced to her in like The Mummy, the one with Brendan Fraser. She's been doing this a long time. She's been great for a long time, and I thought that was a great performance for her. So I really wanted to highlight that. Next category is favorite moments. Again, highlighting lesser stuff. We all have the favorite moments that we all know about. The various ones, again, from Succession, from The Bear, you know, all the stuff from Beef, like all those things that like you all think of. I'm right there with you. But I wanted to highlight, again, lesser known things that personally resonated with me. These might be things that you guys watched and didn't give a fuck about. They might not sound interesting enough for you to watch that show, but I just felt the need, because this is my fucking channel, to speak about some of the things that I just thought were really enjoyable this year. So, and they're chronological order, because as I'm keeping these notes up, I'm always kind of like adding things as I watch it. So The first thing was on Mayor of Kingstown. So Mayor of Kingstown is a Paramount Plus show. I think it aired really early, January, February, something like that. I have full coverage of it on the channel, talking about every episode. And there's a moment where I forget his name, but he played Lem on The Shield. He's a prisoner. I think he's a rapist or something like that. And one of the other characters, I don't want to spoil too much in case you guys want to watch it, but one of the other characters, I don't want to say breaks him. He doesn't break him out of jail. He's a cop, so he has the ability to take him out of the jail, but under false pretenses, like to go to the dentist or some shit like that. And he plans on bringing this guy to accomplish one task. And the guy, his name's Charlie. He's really weird, kind of childlike. Seems very kind of passive. And then when they go to accomplish this task, something goes wrong, and this guy Charlie snaps. And the way it happened was so fast and so shocking that I audibly yelped. Like, I made a sound. I don't remember what it was, but because it might have been a year ago to this day for all I know. But I yelped. I made a sound. I was completely shocked by that. It came out of left field. Really shocking moment that, I was like, holy shit, that was really cool. The second moment is from Snowfall. I'm going to give a spoiler warning here because I can't talk about this moment and this episode without spoiling it, but just to kind of like connect two pieces so I can skip over it later. This moment is also featured in the section on here where I'm going to talk about the best episodes. It's for Snowfall, Season 6, Episode 6. If you're a fan of Snowfall, you're going to know who I'm talking about. If you're not a fan, you can maybe still listen to this because it's not going to be a spoiler unless you plan on watching it. But character Jerome on Snowfall, he's the uncle of the protagonist, Franklin. Jerome dies at the end of this. Season 6 is the final season of the show. So we're at Season 6, Episode 6. I think the season was... might have been 10 episodes, I want to say. Really strong season, by the way. Again, dipping into other categories, so I don't have to talk about it later. Snowfall Season 6 is in my honorable mentions as well. It's a show that really strong FX inner city crime drug drama that peaked at Season 4, plummeted at Season 5, and then returned to form with Season 6. It's the show that I have the most coverage of on the channel. I think I have full coverage of 4, 5, and 6 on the channel, so it'd be the only show, I think along with Dave maybe, that I have 3 seasons worth of coverage, and I'm not even sure I covered Season 1 of Dave. But Season 6, Episode 6, it features Jerome's death. Jerome's death, that actual moment is why the actual moment of his death is the moment that I'm referring to in my favorite moments here. It was perfectly executed. When you kill off a legacy character like that at the end of a show's run, you've already laid all the groundwork for it to have an emotional impact. But they executed it perfectly. It was man, that it's one of my top devastating moments, period. Like when I talk about, like, you know, people talk about like the Red Wedding, and for me, Oberyn being killed on Game of Thrones was my Red Wedding. But like, you know, those big moments, you know, the stuff from Breaking Bad or The Wire, Jerome's death on Snowfall is now one of my kind of like legacy big moments. Like that, like I'm not gonna front, I was fucking crying. Like, they pulled that shit off so fucking good. Like, I was walking around my house wiping tears and shit. And here's the crazy part: Snowfall was the only show where I was able to get screeners ahead of time. So I watched the episode, but then I couldn't talk about it for like, I couldn't talk about it for like a long time. Like, it fucking sucks, man. But great moment. Next moment, Gaeta on Dave, Season 3, Episode 5. He has a moment where they're in like a house with like a bunch of weirdos, and Gaeta is behaving kind of not unusually. He's behaving like himself, but for the circumstances, behaving like himself was unusual at that time. He's got women coming. He's got a woman coming in. There's like stranded at this place. He has a woman come fuck him or whatever, and eventually ends up breaking down. He talks about his history with women to the people who live in this house, and it's a really moving scene. Gaeta has been a joy on Dave. I don't know if we're gonna get a Season 4 or not, but shout out to him, man. He's like we say in the black community, we make something good. We say we put our foot in it, man. He put his foot in his role, man. Like, that he really stepped it up, and that was a great moment for his character. Another moment that I talked about in my Fargo's recent, so on my covers for my video for episodes 1 and 2, I love the scene where Whit Farr, played by Lamorne Morris, is cornered by the bad guys, and there's like lots of smoke from a crashed car, red and blue lights flashing, reflecting off of the smoke and off of the bad guy. They got him flanked. Really intense scene, really sick visually. I just remember watching that thinking, like, I'm going to love this season. That didn't end up happening, but that's what I remember thinking. I'm like, man, this season is back to form. I'm going to love this one. And then another one that, another recent one from Murder at the End of the World. If you guys have probably remember how much I talked about this moment, but when Clive Owen's character just vents and he's like, what is fucking wrong with people? I cannot trust a single fucking person. That resonated with me so much. That spoke to me. Oh man, I just love that so much. And it had such big energy from me. Like, that was Mike energy right there. Like, that's how I be feeling all the time. And I can't let it out, but man, that's how I be feeling. So, best episodes. Now, I'm not gonna spend too much time talking about any of these. A couple of words on each one. I didn't even write down the episode titles because like I said, it's something I keep up in my notes app, so I'm just writing down like this episode 3, episode. I don't write the episode titles, and even then, the episode title isn't going to help you as much as it's going to help you that I'm going to give like 4 words to describe what that episode was. That are gonna, if you saw it, you'd be like, oh yeah, that one. Like if I just said. For the first one is The Last of Us episode 3. If I said the episode title, you might be like, I don't know which episode that was, but I'm gonna tell you right now that was the one that had the flashback with Bill and Frank and their relationship and all that kind of shit. Now you know, like, oh, that one. So so that's how this is structured. I don't know what the episode title was for that. If you want to know, I have full coverage of The Last of Us on the channel, so I have full coverage of every episode that I mentioned here is fully covered on the channel except for 2. 2 of them are not. The episode themselves do not have coverage on the channel. One of those two, one of those two, I have a video for the whole season of the show, but not for that specific episode. All right, so like I said, The Last of Us, episode 3, the Bill and Frank flashback episode where we see their relationship or whatever. I think everybody loved that episode. Same show, The Last of Us, episode 5. Again, I don't know what the episode title was, but it's the episode where it has Henry and Sam, the 2 brothers, the 2 black kids. And at the end of it, they end up dying. Spoilers, fuck it. If you haven't seen the show, why are you here? It's one of the best shows of the year. It's as we'll get to in a moment. So yeah, they die at the end. But incredible episode, that one. Snowfall, season 6, episode 6, which I just talked about. Succession. I have 3 from Succession. Episodes 3, 9, and 10. 3 is the one where Logan dies. We all know about that. 9 is his funeral episode, and then 10 is, of course, the finale. Again, I have full coverage of all 3 of those episodes on the channel, so if you want to hear me talk for probably about 30 to 40 minutes on each of those outstanding episodes of television, there you go. The Bear, we all have the same... We all know, right? Episode 6 and 7. We even know, I do know the episode titles for this one because they've been talked about so much. Forks and Fishes. So, episode 6, this was the one where a bunch of guest stars, Jamie Lee Curtis, everybody's in the house, real hectic, intense. What we kind of, what we know that the Bear can do, and they elevate the tension to 10. That was that one. Episode 7, which is... I think episode 6 is like the go-to pick for the best episode of the season, and then episode 7 is the hipster pick. Like all the television and film nerds like myself, we all pick episode 7, but it's the one where Richie, he's staging at this fancy restaurant and has Olivia Colman in it. And it's just a great episode for Richie's character. And again, actually, no, I don't have full coverage of these 2 episodes because I don't do that for The Bear. I just talk about the whole season. I watch the whole thing in like one sitting, and then I do a video for the whole season. And can I just say, I am still going to pat myself on the back for being at the forefront of what is now probably one of the most well-known shows on television. But if you go look on the channel, my motherfucking ass was calling The Bear season 1 a perfect season of television. I put that video out on like the same weekend that the shit came out, way before it became a big deal. So that's about my hipster moment right there. I was on The Bear before all the rest of y'all. Foundation Season 2, episodes 8 and 10. I don't know the episode titles. Episode 10 was a pretty perfect fucking finale. I have full coverage of that on the channel. Episode 8 was another one. It just had a lot of big moments, a lot of plot twists. Again, I'm not going to go into them because I have full coverage of the episode on the channel. But episode 8 was a fucking banger, man, in a great season of television. I got 4 more here. Drops of God, episode 4. So Drops of God I have coverage of on the channel, but I only speak about the season as a whole. Episode 4... So while I was watching this show, I'm going to backtrack a little bit. While I was watching this show, I was doing my Facebook thing that you guys, if you're longtime fans of this channel, you know I'll hop on Facebook and do like live commentary while I'm watching stuff. When I was watching Drops of God, one of the things that I was consistently saying was like, that was a good episode, but I don't know how they're getting, I think it was 8 episodes or 8 hours out of this story. Episode 4 was a flashback episode that provided so much context, and it was so interesting, and it made... It built anticipation for the entire second half of the season. It was just a really great episode, really emotional, really informative, and really pivotal to what was really a really good season of television. Reservation Dogs, season 3, episode 10, the series finale. Again, another pretty perfect finale. Slow Horses, season 3, episode 6. Again, another pretty perfect finale. I talked about that on the Facebook page and in the video for that episode. But Slow Horses, really, episodes 5 and 6 should both be considered as like one episode for this because they were both collectively as a pair. They went together, they dovetailed perfectly, and they were both great episodes. But I put the finale here. And then Blue-Eyed Samurai, episode 5. I don't have any coverage of Blue-Eyed Samurai on the channel. If you want to see my thoughts on Blue-Eyed Samurai, you'd have to find the Facebook post where I was live commenting on it. But episode 5 is a flashback episode. These flashback episodes are really present in my best episodes list here. But it's a flashback episode where they kind of play out her backstory against the backdrop of an attack on the building that she's in present day. And the attack on the building present day is great stuff, but the information that we get in the flashback is incredible too. It's an incredible looking show on top of that, but the storytelling in this episode and the character development was incredible. All right, so moving on to the honorable mentions, and then we're gonna put. I'm already at 30 minutes, and I feel like I barely said anything about anything. But I'm gonna run through the honorable mentions again. I'm not gonna say too much about them. Most of them got coverage on the channel. They're not in order, but the first few are ones that were probably present in the top 10 at some point and just kind of got pushed out. But again, they're not in order. I'm not gonna say too much about these, but like I said, I'll tell you which ones have coverage on the channel and which ones don't. First honorable mention of the 15, Beef. I think all of you guys saw Beef cleaned up at the Emmys. I have a video for Beef on the channel for the whole season, not episode by episode. But Beef is an honorable mention. Apparently, I didn't like it as much as the Emmy voters did, but Beef was outstanding. Slow Horses season 3, another honorable mention. Another honorable mention. Slow Horses is always like floating in and out of my top 10. Every season has either been in the top 10 or an honorable mention. And the only reason this one didn't make it was just because I felt like it kind of got off to a bit of a slow start. But it finished really, really fucking strong. Dark Winds season 2. I don't have any coverage of Dark Winds. I kind of binge watched 1 and 2 together. Season 2 came out this year. It was better than season 1. Really great show. Zach McLaren is absolutely incredible. Hope I said his name right. That he was in obviously Reservation Dogs. He popped up in, what was I just watching that he popped up in? Oh, Echo. Wrestlers, which is a documentary series on Netflix about wrestlers in a local promotion out of Ohio. That's kind of like a feeder promotion into the WWE. It's run by Al Snow. If you're a wrestling fan, or if you were a wrestling fan, you know who Al Snow is. He was a big deal back in the day. Incredibly compelling show with interesting people who live incredibly interesting lives, and you really come to connect with these people, pull for them. They just want to make a living, and they're struggling to do that because if you're not in WWE, making money via wrestling is a rough way to go of it. It's hard on your body, and watching these people get into behind the scenes and seeing their personal lives and all that kind of stuff, it was just a great look at these people, and you can't help but fall in love with these people. They're all incredibly interesting and compelling. It was just a really great docuseries. Highly, highly recommended. Perry Mason season 2. I have full coverage of this, and I don't have season 1 on the channel, but Perry Mason season 2. I don't know why people were so hard on season 1. I thought it was really good, but season 2 steps it up even more. Like I said, season 2 wrestlers, Beef, Slow Horses, they were all kind of floating around the top 10 or in it at one point or another. Poker Face on Peacock, starring Natasha Lyonne. Wasn't a big fan at first, but I feel like Poker Face got better with each subsequent episode. It really took advantage of taking what felt like random, long forgotten actors and actresses and giving them a lot of screen time in these episodes to really knock it out of the park. Judith Light was a big standout on one of the episodes here. It's basically, if you're not unfamiliar, it's basically kind of like a Columbo kind of show. They built it up as like she doesn't forget anything, but they built it up as no one can lie to her. She can always see through people's lies. That doesn't even end up being a big aspect of the show. Her intuitiveness is more so what it is rather than people lying to her calling bullshit on it. But that's kind of what it is. She's not solving mysteries, makes like it's Scooby-Doo or some shit. But she's like, she's on the run from someone who wants to kill her. And then she keeps going to these towns and getting involved in these situations that she kind of like has to figure out and solve. So it's kind of like Columbo, but a more modern day humoristic kind of take on it. Dave season 3. I felt like Dave was still great, but not quite up to par with season 2. It was still sitting in my top 10 for most of the year, but kind of fell out of it toward the end. Kunk on Earth is another honorable mention. I loved it. Hilarious. I could never put just kind of like that kind of show. It's like a mockumentary in a top 10 or anything like that. But it's definitely the funniest thing I watched all year. I absolutely love that show. It's basically... it's really hard to describe that kind of like British style of humor, but it's great. Snowfall season 6, I talked about that already. Swarm, that's on Amazon Prime, stars Dominique Fishback is like an obsessive fan, like it's kind of like a play on the Beehive, Beyonce's fans, that's why it's called Swarm. That was great. Rabbit Hole, that was on Paramount Plus. Starred Kiefer Sutherland, kind of like a generic kind of popcorn television spy show, but it was really good. All of these next ones. Night Agent was another one, popcorn show, just done really well, really fun, kind of like spy kind of series. Bodies, that was on Netflix, as was Night Agent. That was another one, good popcorn TV. Gen V, spinoff from The Boys. That was another one. Blue-Eyed Samurai, which I talked about a moment ago. That completes the honorable mentions. I'm Not a Virgo. I forgot to put it on here for whatever reason. I'm glad I remembered it in this moment. I'm Not a Virgo. That's also on Amazon Prime. Stars Jarrell Jerome. Great series too. He's great in that. Really interesting stuff. Check that out. I think I have a video for that on the channel. I'm not 100% sure. Let me run through these real quick. So, Beef, I have one video covering the whole season. Slow Horses, every episode. Dark Winds, I got nothing. Wrestlers, I have one video covering the whole thing. Perry Mason, I covered the whole season, every episode. Poker Face, I think I started it but didn't finish it. Dave season 3, I covered every episode. Kunk on Earth, I have nothing. Snowfall, I covered every episode. Swarm, I did one video. I'm Not a Virgo, I think I did one video. I'm not sure. Rabbit Hole, I didn't cover it all. Night Agent, I didn't cover it all. Bodies, I didn't cover it all. Gen V, every episode. And then Blue-Eyed Samurai, I didn't cover it all. All right, let's wrap this thing up with the top 10. Again, everything in the top 10 has full coverage on the channel, so I'm not going to talk about them at all. I'm just going to say a couple of sentences, and that'll be it. If you want to get full in-depth thoughts on any of the top 10, like I said, full coverage, every episode reviewed by me on the channel. Number 10, Shrinking, Season 1. Really impressed with the comedic turn from Harrison Ford. Jason Segel was great in this. The supporting cast was great. They really picked it up. I remember midway through Season 1, I was like, these two characters need to interact more. And that's exactly, it's like the show heard me. Those two characters started to interact more. It got even better. Really great show. Really fun. Really heartwarming. High recommendation. Number 9, Drops of God. I talked about it a moment ago. That one, every show has full coverage on the channel. Drops of God does not have full coverage on the channel. It just has one video because it was a Patreon commission. So Shout out to whoever commissioned Drops of God. It ended up in the top 10. But it's a show about a wine competition. It doesn't sound like it'd be really great. What happens is this wine connoisseur with a huge collection. He's incredibly wealthy. He makes a review guide that just reviews wine every year. He dies, and rather than leave his legacy to his daughter, he leaves it in a competition between his daughter and his protege. And they enter into a wine tasting competition that has like 3 tests, and whoever wins the competition is going to get his collection. Obviously, just like I was saying when I talked about it a moment ago, how do you get 8 hours or 10 hours of content out of that? You got to watch to find out. But episode 4 really, really did it. Number 8, Barry, season 4, the final season. Barry, every season a great one. Barely gets any love come awards time, but Barry's incredible. Bill Hader's a fucking genius. I don't even know how he comes up with some of this shit, man. Bill Hader's brilliant. Everyone on this show is brilliant. I love Henry Winkler, man. I'm sad to see Barry go, but I'm even more sad that it didn't get the love that it deserved while it was running. Number 7, Silo, season 1. You guys know I was gushing all over that. Sci-fi is my jam. I don't know if Silo made anybody's top 10 but mine, but I love some hardcore sci-fi. And Silo just really, really hit that spot for me. Number 6 was Miss Davis on Peacock. This is one that I can't highly recommend because I feel like most people aren't going to like this show. But, like, man, this thing took some swings, man, and it did some shit. And I give this show so much props. And it's Damon Lindelof, so of course it's going to push boundaries. But it did a lot of risky shit. I thought all of it worked. Every episode, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And then, like, the next episode, it makes the previous thing make sense. It talks about religion a lot, which as an atheist, you would think that I wouldn't find engaging, but I find engaging shit to be engaging, whether it's something I believe in or disagree with or agree with or not. And it had a very high religious focus. All kinds of shit that's like, what the fuck is even going on here? If you're a fan of Lindelof, you know what I'm talking about. But Miss Davis took some incredibly big swings, and it remained incredibly engaging throughout, and everything tracked and everything made sense and came together at the end, and it really worked. Number 5, Reservation Dogs season 3, the final season. Reservation Dogs to me is one of those shows that needs to be celebrated as an all-time great, just from impact, what it brought to television, to see these stories, to see these characters. But season 3, the final season, ended strong, really strong. Like the last 2 episodes, maybe 3, were really, really good, but wasn't quite up to par with season 2. Season 2 felt like Season 2 was an all-time great season of television, and season 3 lacked some of that. Some of those episodes that just stick with you after you get done watching them. Season 2 had a lot of those where I just walked away like, man, holy shit, man, what an episode. To where when it was time for the next episode, I was like in front of the TV, like, I cannot wait to watch this. Season 3 didn't have really many episodes like that just stuck with me, so it didn't rank as high as season 2 did. But season 3, still incredible. Coming in at number 5. Number 4 is Foundation season 2, which is shocking to be here, let alone this high, given how I was kind of down on like the first, I want to say 2 episodes or so. But the 2 episodes, in retrospect, those 2 episodes were necessary. What I didn't like about them made sense and came into play as the season continued. It got better and better and better. And like, again, the final, the two of the final 3 episodes made my best episodes list. Just incredible stuff, man. It finished really fucking strong, man. Loved Foundation. Again, this kind of sci-fi, it just suits me, man. It just resonates with me. Sci-fi, Foundation, Miss Davis, Silo, all that stuff just really tickles my fancy, man. What can I say? Number 3, The Last of Us season 1. Again, not much to say about it. If you watched it, you know how great it was. It was one of the first things we got this year, last year. Came out in January. It was absolutely outstanding. I know some people were disappointed in the lack of zombies, but I don't know. I thought the character work on it was absolutely incredible. Number 2, The Bear season 2. The only reason it's number 2 is because I felt like season 1 was just a little bit better, and season 1 was my number 1. And on that year, And I was like, that's a little bit better than season 2. Season 2 was still going to be number 1 if it wasn't for the fact that Succession season 4 took place this year as well. And Succession is another one that you put that up there as one of the top shows of all time. I think a lot of people looked at this year as The Bear versus Succession. And whatever your personal, whatever reason each show resonated with you specifically, whatever reasons you have, whichever one is more important to you, that's going to determine your rating. So if whatever resonated with you with Succession is more important than whatever resonated with The Bear, that's going to determine your rankings. And the reason Succession is number 1 is that my reason for loving Succession is that Succession challenges me. And there's not a lot of shows that challenge me. You can't background watch Succession. You can't even casually watch Succession. You need to pay the fuck attention. I talk all the time about what's not said, what's not written into the script, what's in between the lines, what's implied, suggested, characters' motivations that you can only understand from having spent time with these characters. It's even down to the episode titles. You guys know when I do my videos, I talk about the episode title. Even the episode titles challenge me. And I respect that about this show and what it did over those 4 seasons. And it stuck the landing, and that's how it ended up at number 1. It's just a show that it's executed perfectly, and it's one of those shows where you have to bring your A game to it. You know, you have to be ready to engage with it. You have to be ready to pay attention, and if you do that, you are going to be richly rewarded. And the visuals too, incredible. The acting, incredible. Everybody in the cast is outstanding. I feel the same way about The Bear. Only difference is, again, what Succession does to me is a bit more impressive just due to just the time, like everything that goes into it. The 4 seasons of doing this at an hour per episode with such a huge cast and such a complicated topic, it's just, to me, it's a more challenging thing to accomplish, and to accomplish it to the degree that show did, that's why it ended up at my number 1. But you guys know, like I said, I'm a day 1 The Bear guy. If you're watching this video, there's a 99% chance that you found out and loved The Bear way after I did. So my love for The Bear is well documented and unprecedented, and it's there. But yeah, Succession ended up at number 1. So let me hear you guys' list in the comments. I'm going to try to reply to as many comments as I can. I want to see what you guys thought. Let me hear it. I'll see you guys next year for the best of 2024. And I'm going to have a follow-up video coming soon with my best shows of all time. Well, my favorite shows, of all time. And I'm going to be reading some lists from some patrons as well. So look for that next. Look for best of 2023 movies coming up soon as well. I got a couple more I want to knock out before I do that. It's going to be just like this, except I'm going to talk about the movies a little bit more because I don't have the coverage on the channel. But look for that coming soon. And until then, peace.